Hello, welcome to another non-finito BG painting tutorial. Today we're painting the Amalgam from the game Trench Crusade. Starting things a little different today, we are actually starting with an ink. This is going to be the Goons Grime ink from the Villainy ink set. And I'm just going to cover all of the, the hoses you see there coming from the gas masks. The gas masks themselves, and then all the armor plating and the artillery found around the model. Alright, and then after I accomplish a couple of coats of this Goons Grime ink in all the places that I want it, and we will move on to attacking the skin. So here I am adding a ultramarine blue mixed with a little bit of that red lake to get some of that shadow skin tone, that underpainting that I want. I'm going to keep this thin because I want it to go especially into the recesses. I'm going to cover the whole model. Alright, and then once that dries, I'm going to go in with a deep yellow ochre with just a tad bit of burnt umber just to warm it up a little bit. And then I'll take a dry clean brush and I just start moving that around, blending it in, right? Because I still want it to be relatively thin because I want that purple or that blue to show through. And I hear some of you guys talk about you want to know the paints and all that I use. I'm working on eventually getting a second camera so that you can see me mix my palette. But as of right now, I'm on a one camera setup, so doing the best I can with what I have. So I don't know if you want to see the palette work. leave a comment, and especially like the video, so at least I know that's something that people want me to add. If you're happy with how the videos are going so far, by all means, I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. But I guess the goal, I mean, the goal in anything in life is to get better at what you do, right? And I'd like to get better at this whole YouTube thing. The only thing is sometimes getting better at this whole YouTube thing requires money. Alright, so now I'm going into more of my greens now for this skin. Alright, so the green that I'm adding, this is the base skin tone that I'm adding. It's a deep yellow with just a little bit of that yellow ochre, warm white, and then a tad bit of that ultramarine blue. Just a tiny little bit, just to bring those yellows into that green realm, right? So I want this to kind of look like the flesh is decay and mucky. I'm still working with that that number 3 orange brush. I'm also currently working on a video about these brushes, so stay tuned for those. But now we're going to go into working on all those guts. Alright, so I'm adding some Scarlet Lake Red with a tad bit of ultramarine blue just to get that maroonish color for my underpainting. I'm just going to cover them with that. And again, just keeping it thin so you can really see that blue from all the recesses still come through in the color. And as that dries, I'm going to move on and start adding some burnt umber with a little bit of that ultramarine blue in the recesses of the legs. I want the legs to be a little darker than the upper body because I don't want the whole thing to look like it's being shown under a flashlight. You know, I want the light to be coming over, and the upper body of this figure is much bigger and kind of elapses over those legs. So I decided to go a little darker with the underpainting for the legs. And here I'm just hitting those highlights. This is just a warm white with just a little bit of that deep yellow mixed in, right? When you're dealing with green like I am, I mean, it's a little bit like a brownish green, or a little bit more on that ochreish green, but it's still green. And how do you highlight green? With yellow. So I add a little bit of yellow to my warm white to hit these highlighted areas. I'll just stipple it around. I'm not too worried about blending in my brush strokes at the moment because I'm going to go over with additional layers, kind of glazing over all of this, and it's naturally going to blend everything in and do the work for me. So here it's almost like I'm actually wanting that texture so it looks like skin texture, or at least fools the eye into thinking it's skin texture. just need some highlights on those hands, bring out those details. And everywhere where that skin is really stretching over some of the figure, like over here off of that artillery, make sure I really bring up those values. Now you notice I'm holding the figure with my hand. It's not on my my holder with the tack. The mineral spirits, when they kind of seep into that sticky tack, it kind of makes it kind of goopy. And I just dealt, and the model's so big, it just kept flopping down. So I just removed it. Decided to hold it while I work on the upper body, since I'm not working on the legs anyways. Alright, now moving back to those guts. I'm using a little bit of that yellow lake with the scarlet red to get kind of an orange, and it makes a little bit of warm white with it to kind of bring down those values. I guess that saturation, and just adding it to all those raised areas. And almost just like scratching it over. I don't want to work it in too much. Kind of want to let it just naturally fall over the surfaces, if that makes sense. Because if some of that pink kind of makes its way in between those brush strokes, I'm fine with it. It adds variation. Then I go over with a wash that's a little brighter, a little bit more orange, all over all that. But it's a lot thinner. It's like a glaze. And I don't mind if this goes into the recesses. So I was kind of thinking I want it to look like, you know, that skin or that casing you put sausage in. That's the kind of look I was looking for. So that's why I'm glazing, and I'm okay if this seeps into those recesses and kind of, I guess, fogs up the details. Alright, now I'm going in. A little thicker wash now, but still a wash of that burnt umber. Just gonna cover all the leg, focusing on those recesses. Alright, and again, that yellow ochre goes very well with that burnt umber. I don't even need to add burnt umber like I did before. It's already underneath, right? So this is just straight yellow ochre out of the tube going onto those legs. Alright, now I'm kind of going in with my sort of like an olive green, right? Mixed in some yellow ochre with that deep yellow and started bringing it to that olive green by adding a little bit of lamp black, but then some warm white to make sure I didn't lose any of that brightness, because it is going over as like the base skin tone. Again, I'm being very sketchy with this. When you first lay it down, it looks like there's a lot of brush strokes and stuff, but as it dries, a lot of that brush stroke starts going away and it starts blending in on its own. And anything that I feel like maybe was too much paint when it went down, that's usually when I grab my dry clean brush and I just feather it out. There, and you can see that leg, like all the brush strokes that I put down before kind of disappeared as the mineral spirits evaporate. Now just going in with some highlighting. This is warm white, a little bit of deep yellow, yellow ochre, and that's it. Anywhere where I see that it's just a little too much paint in one area, I'll grab this brush and I'll just feather it out till it blends in. What you can also do, like I did here, was I put some brush strokes down. I noticed it was too much paint, not enough mineral spirits, so then I went over it with just mineral spirits and it kind of helped blend it all together, and then I just feather out the edges. gonna go in again with some warm white with just a tad bit of that deep yellow and just start doing some spot highlighting. I'm just stippling this in on areas where I think the light will be catching the top of those forms and the legs, but I don't want to go crazy with this. Like I said, the top half of the body is the part that's going to be enshrouded more in that light, and legs are naturally going to be under the top of your body, right? So doing it to every piece of muscle or whatever it is on this creature's legs will kind of take away from, I guess, the top of the body. It'll kind of just make it too uniform, if that makes sense. And I don't want that. I want the focus to be on all that rib cage opening up and that head on its shoulder. So I just pick little areas here and there, the back of its calves, because it looks like it has like 5 calves on one leg. But that's because that's stepping backwards and it's able to kind of catch that light a little bit more. While the other leg, it seems like those quads on that left leg are able to catch a little bit more light. Alright, now I'm going in with my ink effects. This is that Sector Rust from the Villainy ink set, and I'm just adding this very liberally to the armor, the artillery, and then the weapons like the gun and the swords and the hands. And I add a lot of it too, and I just let it kind of fall and go where it wants, you know. And if it gets on the skin a little bit, that's okay. You know, these things are kind of getting fused to its body, so I like to think that the rust is entering this figure's skin over time anyways. I did have to go and do about 2 coats of this. I didn't really feel like 1 coat was enough after it dried, so just FYI. Alright, and now for the guts, I'm going in with the Carrion Crimson and just coating all those guts and intestines hanging out with the Carrion Crimson, allowing the debris in the ink to stick to the surfaces. Completely okay with that. It looks like coagulated blood that's sticking all over those intestines, and I kind of like it, so I'm gonna leave it. And I'll hit little spots here and there all over the model. Well, I guess if it's little spots here and there, it's not all over the model, but you know what I mean. Where I feel like there might be a wound from maybe like one of those armor plates fusing with the body, I'll have the blood dripping from there. Or where the tubes go back into the body, I'll have the Carrion Crimson around those areas of the flesh. Kind of did a little mess up right there, but just a brush with mineral spirits cleans that up. There we go, and I'm also adding it to those plates, right? Because it's dripping onto those metal plates. So I'm adding that Carrion Crimson to those metal plates underneath. There we go, a little bit on the leg. and around those plates on the legs. You know, just a little bit. Don't want to go too crazy with it. There's no visual interest if it's all over the body, right? Alright, now I'm going in with I think it's Cohelian green from the ink set. I like it. It looks good in those recesses. Kind of gives it like that decay look. So I add that to all like the recessed areas of the flesh. It gives it those pulled up green puddles. You know, it makes it look very sickly. And then I take my brush with just mineral spirits on the tip and I start cleaning off all those top areas where those ink got. Maybe I want to wash it off a little bit and let the paint underneath show back through without that filter of the ink. So I just go in with just mineral spirits and I just pull all that off. You can also do this with those inks. Isopropyl alcohol. You got to be careful. You could strip off paint with that. You got to be very light-handed when you start doing this redactive technique of pulling those effects off of the model, because then you can start just rubbing off paint. We don't want that. All right, and this piece is coming to a close as I finish up a few details. This one was fun. It took me a while. Had like over 4 hours of footage. That's why this whole thing was sped up 2 times. But if you enjoyed it, if you learned something or just got pure entertainment, consider like, subscribe, and follow. And yeah, thank you for watching.